Part 13. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 121. Chu Mingjun took Zhang Ci and Mu Zi to another conference room. Zhang Huan teaches in Gray, and there is a female student named Zhou Jiaying in his class, who frequently shows affection to him and sends flirty text messages, but Zhang Huan ignores them all. The summer school opened a cram school, and Zhou Jiaying took advantage of the fact that there was nothing else in the office. Teacher, she took off her clothes to seduce Zhang Huan, but he sternly refused afterwards. Zhou Jiaying became furious and threatened him to compensate herself, otherwise she would sue him for violence. Chu Mingjun briefly described what happened, then changed his voice, and said, "Of course, these are just Zhang Huan's one-sided remarks. As lawyers, although our first task is to protect the rights and interests of the client, we cannot blindly trust the information provided by the client." Information. He was afraid that his cousin would bring a layman and cause trouble for him. Mu Zi asked him, "So what do you think the real situation should be like?" Chu Mingjun stretched out his index finger and pressed it between his eyebrows, posing in a thoughtful pose. "Do not eat the food delivered to your door for nothing. If a woman loves a man, if the sky thunders and the fire hits the ground, it will naturally be crackling and sparks flying around. I guess the two should have been in a relationship for a long time, maybe because of the quarrel and conflict, the woman turned her face, that's why it happened. Do you think that everyone loves to take advantage of you?" Zhang Ci dismissed him. "Zhang Huan is from a scholarly family, do you understand that? Cousin, no matter how educated he is, he's still a man." Chu Mingjun smiled shyly. Zhou Jiaying has a hospital report in her hand, and Zhang Huan's semen was found in her body and panties. What's going on? I can't rely on it. Zhang Ci choked, thought for a while, and said, "Maybe Zhou Jiaying did it voluntarily. Didn't you say that she sent Zhang Huan an ambiguous text message? This can be used as proof." Chu Mingjun replied, "Zhang Huan deleted those text messages a long time ago, and he also set Zhou Jiaying's number into the blacklist." Zhang Ci. Chu Mingjun shrugged with a smile, "So, now we don't have any evidence to prove that Zhou Jiaying has a crush on Zhang Huan." Now, Zhang Ci didn't move. The expression on Mu Zi's face didn't change. If the case was easy to solve, it wouldn't be her turn to intervene. "Let me talk to him first," she said. Zhang Huan and Jiang's mother were sitting in the reception room of the law firm. Chu Mingjun hadn't come back for a long time, and both of them were a little anxious. Afraid of running in vain, afraid of being happy in vain. "I think this Mingjun law firm is not a big one, but it looks decent. It shouldn't be a liar." Mother Zhang spoke softly, comforting Zhang Huan, as if comforting herself. And Zhang Huan responded in a low voice, without saying much. He is not optimistic about his current situation. Although the person in charge of the law firm claimed that there is a great chance of winning, he did not give any detailed countermeasures. He had a brief conversation just now, but his words were also vague. The door was opened, and Chu Mingjun brought in 2 glasses of water himself, warm and thoughtful. "I kept you two waiting for a long time." Zhang Huan was stunned when he saw Mu Zi behind Chu Mingjun. "It's you. Mr. Zhang, we meet again." Mu Zi smiled, "I'm here as an intern." Zhang Huan stared at her blankly, and gradually understood. Rather than saying that Mu Zi recommended the law firm to him, it is better to say that Mu Zi recommended herself to him. Zhang Huan's face turned cold, and he said expressionlessly, "Miss Mu, I really don't have time to play around with you." He stood up and made a gesture to go. Mother Zhang was caught off guard by the situation. "What's going on?" "It's nothing," Zhang Huan said lightly, "it's just that someone is joking with us. Mom, let's go." "Do you know why no one dares to take your case?" Mu Zi asked him suddenly. Zhang Huan's steps froze. Mu Zi looked at him with calm eyes, it's only one aspect that the other party has unfavorable evidence. The real reason is that they don't believe you, so they found you guilty without even checking, but I believe you. Zhang Huan, are you sure you want to give up an ally? Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 122. Zhang Huan stood where he was and didn't speak for a moment. He wasn't sure if he should put his future in the hands of a 16-year-old girl. It's just that the worst situation is nothing more than that. Xiaoming looked left and right, and smiled to ease the atmosphere. Since you're here, let's leave after chatting, it's not too late, is it? Zhang Mu frowned and looked at Mu Zi, then glanced at Chu Mingjun, and said solemnly, although we have time, we don't want to be fooled by others. This is Miss Mu. Yes, I am Mu Zi. Mu Zi had a slight smile on his face. Mrs. Zhang, although I am a small talker, if I am not sure of winning the lawsuit, I will not make promises to the Zhang family easily. After all, I still want to study in Gray, so there is no need to rush to offend the Zhang family at this juncture. When Mother Zhang heard this, her heart moved slightly. Mu Zi is young and has no power, so naturally she can't afford to offend the Zhang family. Even if she wants to curry favor, there are many ways, there is really no need to take such a big risk. Could it be that she really has a way to exonerate Zhang Huan? Mother Zhang subconsciously looked at Mu Zi. A very beautiful girl, with a pair of clear eyes that are pure and soft, with a pure and beautiful temperament, like a young girl who is not familiar with the world, but there is a kind of calmness in her expression that does not match her age. Jiang's mother knew that this kind of calmness came from self-confidence, but how could a child have such self-confidence? Mu Zi doesn't look like an arrogant and ignorant person. Tell me about your solution. Zhang Huan came back and sat on the seat opposite Mu Zi, staring at her with deep eyes. If you want to win the lawsuit, there are two key points. Mu Zi met his gaze and said unhurriedly, one is Zhou Jiaying's motive for framing, and the other is the way to obtain the essence. Mentioning this, Zhang Huan's expression was a little uncomfortable. Mr. Zhang, do you have a girlfriend? Mu Zi asked. Zhang Huan shook his head. Then do you have the habit of masturbation? Such a direct question about privacy made Zhang Huan and Zhang Mu's faces ugly. Mu Zi didn't seem to notice it. Seeing that he didn't answer, she asked again, or, have you ever used tricks before? Miss Mu, what exactly do you want to ask? Mother Zhang couldn't help it, my son keeps himself clean and doesn't have those dirty habits. I think what Ms. Mu meant was to ask me if I have lived with my surname recently. Zhang Huan vaguely understood Mu Zi's intention. Mu Zi nodded, well, that's what it means. Zhou Jiaying went for an inspection on the 7th, so please recall the past few days from the 4th to the 7th, did you have any sexual behavior? Zhang Huan pursed his lips slightly, and after a long time, he nodded slowly. The specific time and place, Mu Zi asked. Zhang Huan hesitated for a while, then answered in a low voice, on the 4th. Until the 7th, these 4 nights, in the apartment outside my school. Jiang's mother looked at Zhang Huan in surprise, her face full of disbelief. Mu Zi was also a little surprised, you mean, for the past 4 days, every night you? Yes. Zhang Huan turned his face slightly, with a slightly embarrassed expression. Talking about this kind of thing with a little girl is really... Mu Zi, however, acted calmly, and quickly calmed down even the surprise. How did you do it? By hand or hand? Zhang Huan quickly replied, interrupting Mu Zi's questioning behind him. His face flushed a little. Miss Mu, your question is so detailed, does it have something to do with the case? I don't know if it's related or not, but now we have a direction to investigate. Mu Zi frowned slightly, smiling lightly, but very brightly. I will have someone check the surveillance video near the apartment, and Zhou Jiaying's recent movements and bank statements. I hope you and your family will keep silent to the outside world, and avoid alarming others. After finishing speaking, she took the initiative to extend her hand to Jang Huan. I hope we can have a happy cooperation. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life. Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 123. Zhang Huan shook hands with Mu Ziyi. Then he signed an agency contract with Chu Mingjun, authorizing Mingjun law firm to represent him in legal matters. After leaving the law firm, both Zhang Huan and Jiang's mother felt a strange feeling. They actually came here today to find out the facts. They originally wanted to go home and discuss with Jiang's father before making plans, but they were so confused that they even signed the authorization contract. After signing the contract, even if you want to go back on your word now, you can't do it? Zhang Huan thought about it carefully, only to realize that he was led away by Mu Ziyi unknowingly. He would trust a 16-year-old girl. This is really unbelievable. Maybe the other party is so confident that he subconsciously thinks that she has the ability to solve it. Mother Zhang came back to her senses, equally anxious. She has been studying for most of her life, but she doesn't know anything about the law, and Mu Ziyi behaved so calmly that she forgot his age and subconsciously trusted Mu Ziyi. Looking back now, Mother Zhang felt a chill run down her spine. Is it right to entrust such an important case to a little girl? The two returned home restless. Jiang's father was busy with get off work, and it was not time to get off work. Zhang Xinyuan was at home, and he was looking forward to it. When he saw the two of them coming back, he couldn't wait to ask about the situation. Zhang Huan suspected that he might have made a wrong decision, so he didn't have the heart to explain it to his sister. Just then Mu Zhenning called. Mu Zhenning had a good personal relationship with Zhang Huan, so he called to ask how Zhang Huan was thinking. If you decide to mediate, I can ask Jingjie to come forward. She is a prosecutor, she has more authority, and she is a woman. She can talk to that female student. Zhang Huan hesitated again, and finally told Mu Zhenning, no need, I have entrusted Mingjun law firm to handle this matter. There was no answer on the phone for a while. Zhang Huan frowned and listened carefully for a while, and faintly heard the voices of the man and woman talking. Zhang Huan understood that Mu Zhenning was with Jiao Jingjie now. After a while, the phone was in Jiao Jingjie's hands, and she said earnestly, Mr. Zhang, reconciliation is the only way out now. Zhou Jiaying has kept silent until now, just waiting for you to show your sincerity, but instead of expressing your sincerity, you have turned to a lawyer instead. A lawsuit will only irritate her. It will be even more difficult to reconcile. Zhang Huan frowned and retorted, the compromise is equivalent to admitting the crime. Even if Zhou Jiaying agrees not to appeal, as long as this matter gets out, everyone will treat me as a criminal. If you are worried about the other party leaking, you can sign a non-disclosure agreement. Then ask for the evidence in the other party's hands. Even if she wants to blackmail her in the future, she will have nothing to rely on. There is nothing to be afraid of. But now you are in such a hurry to find a lawyer, it is equivalent to blocking. There is no way out for you. Once the lawsuit breaks out, the whole city will know about it, and you will be ruined. Zhang Huan frowned at the word ruin. Jiao Jingjie spoke faster and faster, even a little angrily, even if you want to find a lawyer, you should find a big company like Rong'an or Hughes Hung. How can you find a small law firm that is not well known? Mr. Zhang, you have been accused by Mu Ziyi deceived. Quickly revoke the authorization, or you will regret it. The voice suddenly cut off and changed to Mu Zhenning's voice. Sorry, Huan, Jingjie was a little too aggressive, but what she said still makes sense, and I think you should reconsider. Zhang Huan thanked him, but did not make a clear statement. Mu Zening didn't try to persuade her, and the two of them chatted for a few words before ending the call. When Zhang Huan looked up, he found that his mother and sister were looking at him without blinking. Qiao Jingjia's voice was high-pitched just now, apparently both Zhang Mu and Zhang Xinyuan heard it. "Ah Huan, do you want to revoke the authorization?" Mother Zhang asked hesitantly. "That Muzi is so young, if something goes wrong." "Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again." Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 124. No, Zhang Huan suddenly made up his mind for some reason. "Mom, I want to try." Of course he knew that only through reconciliation can this matter be suppressed quietly. Litigation is too ostentatious. If it is not forced to do nothing, who would want to litigate? But the reconciliation was between both parties. If Zhou Jiaying wanted money, it would be easy to spend, but if what she wanted was something he couldn't satisfy, what should she do? So far, Zhou Jiaying has not proposed specific details of the compensation. There is only one reason, and that is that she is up for sale. She wanted to see what the greatest sincerity the Zhang family could show was. This made Zhang Huan especially painful. Not only did I have to endure humiliation and compromise, but my family also fell into such a passive situation. Mu Zi gave directions and promised to start an investigation, which made Zhang Huan feel hopeful. Her age did make him hesitate, but at this moment, Mu Zi saved his dignity, so that he would not have to put down his figure and face, and bear the burden of humiliation to negotiate the compensation for land cession. "Mom, I know you are worried, and you can't trust Mingjun law firm," Zhang Huan said, "but the result of mediation may not be better than now, and it may put me in a more embarrassing situation. I don't want to do things that I haven't done before. If I admit it, I can't admit it, otherwise this stigma will never be washed away for the rest of my life. Even if I lose this lawsuit, I will continue to appeal, and the truth will always come to light." Jiang's mother was silent, and said softly, "I see that Miss Mu speaks logically and thinks clearly. Maybe she does have something extraordinary." Zhang Xinyuan next to him faintly understood. At first, she thought that Mu Zi happened to know a good law firm, so she recommended it to her brother, but now it sounds like Mu Zi handles this case personally. How can this be? Isn't it some little-known barrister? Jiang's mother often taught her that there is no shortage of hidden dragons and crouching tigers among the people, which is why Zhang Xinyuan strongly recommends Mingjun law firm to his family. Now, Zhang Xinyuan felt anxious. Will I do something wrong? Thinking of Qiao Jingjia's words on the phone just now, Zhang Xinyuan became even more worried. While her mother was talking with her brother, Zhang Xinyuan went back to the room silently, and she called Mu Ling. Although they are classmates, the girls also have their own small groups, so she and Mu Ling are actually not familiar with each other, and even the number was found after searching for a long time in the records. As soon as the call was dialed, it was connected. "Zhang Xinyuan," Mu Ling's voice revealed some anticipation. "How is your family going? Have you visited Mingjun law firm?" Zhang Xinyuan bit her lips, did not answer her, but asked, "Mu Ling, can you tell me, what kind of person is Mu Zi in your family?" Mu Ling's voice raised slightly. "Her mother was originally my grandpa's nurse, who knew that she would have a child after protecting her. My grandpa has 4 sons, no daughter, and I don't know if that woman is. He wanted to make my grandpa happy, and he brought a baby girl back from outside, so that's Mu Zi." Mu Ling snorted in disgust. "A person with a bad name and bad reputation is staying in our house, making the family uneasy, dropping out of junior high school and forcing my father to pay for her to study gray. Is it ridiculous?" When Zhang Xinyuan heard the phrase "drop out of junior high school," his head was buzzing, and his heart suddenly became cold. "It's all because of Mu Zi, who harmed your brother," Mu Ling said firmly. She recommended the law firm recklessly, and other lawyers knew about it, and kept their identities, so naturally they refused to take over your family's case. Mu Zi is a murderer. Refined. She wanted to bury a thorn in Zhang Xinyuan's heart. If something happened to Zhang Huan in the future, this thorn would remind the Zhang family that it was Mu Ziyi who harmed them. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 125. Zhang Xinyuan couldn't listen to Mu Ling's words. She is now full of the phrase junior high school dropout. A person who didn't even graduate from junior high school, helping his brother investigate the case? Zhang Xinyuan was in a state of confusion. She felt that she might have really made a mistake, a huge mistake. Jinuan Mu Ling called her Jinuan, intending to get closer. Mu Ziyi did this to curry favor with your family. She dropped out of junior high school and her academic performance is a mess. I'm afraid she wants to accommodate your brother and mother during the exam. This person is vicious and cunning, and he is betting on your brother's reputation and future, so don't be fooled. Zhang Xinyuan was very confused. Mu Ling, I'll hang up first, we'll talk next time. She hung up the phone, not knowing what to do. The law firm was introduced by her, and her parents disapproved of it at first, and she also highly praised it, but now it is like this. She is too rash. If there is anything good or bad about her brother, she will never forgive herself for the rest of her life. Zhang Xinyuan threw herself on the bed and began to cry. In the evening, Jiang's father came back with the same opinion as Zhang Huan, and decided to do everything he could to believe in Mu Ziyi, and even praised Mu Ziyi for his courage despite his young age. Mother Zhang also echoed a few words. Zhang Xinyuan lowered his head in silence, his face pale. 2 days later, Zhou Jiaying reported to the police station, claiming that she had been sexually assaulted, and produced long-prepared evidence. Zhang Huan was criminally detained by the police that day. Although Chu Mingjun then applied for bail, this matter exploded like a bomb in Xinjiang City, which was originally peaceful. Set off a boom. The Zhang family became notorious overnight, and there were voices questioning the authenticity of the case, but they were quickly drowned out by the outrage of the masses. To be a teacher by example should teach people to cultivate talent, but to do this kind of thing is simply a heinous crime. Xiao Jingjia took the initiative to call, and her tone was full of anger and anger. I said it long ago, you will anger Zhou Jiaying. You could have solved this matter quietly, but you listened to an ignorant child. This is self-destruction. If you want to reconcile now, you will only be able to satisfy the other party if you lose everything. Zhang Huan listened silently with a dull expression. After he hung up the phone, Zhang Xinyuan at the side hesitated to speak. Brother. Don't worry, the law firm is already investigating. Zhang Huan lightly pressed his sister's shoulder. Mu Ziyi said, there is no need to wait for the trial, at most 3 days, and my charges will be cleared. Even though this was said, the Zhang family couldn't relax. These 3 days, every day is suffering. Mu Ziyi and Zhang Xiyi checked the surveillance video at Mingjun law firm. Zhang Huan has a duplex apartment 2 streets away from Gray School. It is managed in a modern hotel style. The property is very good and the surveillance video is very clear. In the surveillance video, there was a scene of Zhang Huan walking out of the corridor to throw garbage. Not long after, a woman wearing a wide-brimmed hat appeared in the picture, leaning over to search for something in the trash can. Zhang Xiyi looked at it and frowned. That's how she got Zhang Huan's Jingyi? Isn't she disgusting? Chu Mingjun also opened his eyes. I am convinced, people in the city really know how to play, but this is definitely Zhou Jiaying. You can't see your face clearly with the hat on, so there is no way to use it as evidence. Mu Ziyi frowned without making a sound, dragged the mouse to rewind the video, and rewatched it twice. She suddenly asked, Xiaoming, do you have silver? Chu Mingjun was stunned by her question. What? I ask you something. Tell me, Zhang Xiyi urged him impatiently. Chu Mingjun blushed, he hesitated, occasionally, maybe. Will this be used in hand silver? Muzi looked normal, pointing to a place in the video and asked him. Chu Mingjun shook his head. Zhang Si looked at her suspiciously. Why, what's the problem? Zhang Huan is lying. Muzi looked at the woman in the video wrapping the ball with gloves, and said calmly, he lied to us. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life. Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 126. The woman in the video took the used condom from the trash can. If Zhang Huan was really rich, he would never have used that kind of thing. Zhang Huan has a girlfriend, Muzi said firmly, and Zhou Jiaying knows that he has a girlfriend, so she just sits and waits in the corridor of the apartment. But why did Zhang Huan lie to us? Zhang Si asked. Muzi shook her head, I don't know. Chu Mingjun complained, this person is too incomprehensible, we are already overwhelmed by helping to investigate the clues, and he even made us mess up. How's Zhou Jiaying's investigation going? Muzi asked Chu Mingjun. Xiaoming smiled sheepishly, Zhou Jiaying hasn't lived in the school dormitory for a long time. She borrowed from her cousin's house. It's an old community with no one in charge. The street lights and surveillance cameras have been broken for several months and no one has repaired them, so you didn't find anything? Zhang Si stared, and cut the back of his head with a knife, lazy thing. Sister. How can we investigate without surveillance? Chu Mingjun held his head and shouted, I'm a lawyer, not a detective. Zhang Si wanted to fight again, but seeing his cousin's aggrieved appearance, he couldn't do it again. She is too clear about the virtues of her family. My cousin is an ordinary third-rate lawyer. He opened a firm with compensation for the demolition of his hometown. He usually handles trivial cases. It is really difficult for him to handle some tricky cases. Muzi watched the video and remained silent. Usually, larger law firms will have their own investigators, but Mingjun law firm obviously does not have enough investigation power. Go to Zhou Jiaying's house, Muzi said aloud, since there is no surveillance video, then go and check it yourself. Chu Mingjun was a little confused, what are you going to investigate? How? Muzi smiled, go through the trash. Chu Mingjun. The environment of the old community is very poor, both the green belt and the parking spaces are full of all kinds of garbage and waste, and the garbage bins are piled up like a mountain, and it may only be cleaned every few days. Chu Mingjun covered his mouth and nose and waved his hands, trying to shake off the faint smell in the air. Zhou Jiaying can afford to go to a prestigious school like Gray, so why would she live here? Chu Mingjun looked around and sighed, I never thought that there would be such a dirty and messy slope in Xinjiang City. Muzi replied, Jiayue has a poverty alleviation target, and has set up various scholarships for outstanding students. As long as their academic performance is good enough, they can make a small fortune just by eating scholarships. Then she asked Chu Mingjun, how is Zhou Jiaying's recent performance? Are you asking me? Chu Mingjun was stunned. Zhang Si said impatiently, if you don't ask, who are you asking? Didn't you ask you to check Zhou Jiaying a long time ago? Chu Mingjun's face showed embarrassment, and his voice was weak, I don't know how to check her grades. What's the use of you? Zhang Si rolled her eyes helplessly. Chu Mingjun scratched the back of his head, blushing slightly. Musa next to him silently handed him the mask and a pair of white plastic gloves. His mouth opened into an O, he was dumbfounded, you guys, let me go. I won't let you go, so why don't I go with Muzi? Zhang Si stretched out her hand to push him, and she pushed Chu Mingjun to the garbage dump with great strength, and said, don't be a man, mother-in-law, hurry up, find clues. But, but you also have to tell me what to look for. There are everything, how do I know which things are clues? I thought for a while, then said, look for the courier boxes, courier bags, or torn courier slips, and pay attention to similar things. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 127. The three garbage cans together are like a mountain of garbage that can't fall down. The garbage in the bucket has already overflowed, and the surrounding area is filled with an unpleasant stench. Chu Mingjun rummaged through it repeatedly. There was too much rubbish, and they didn't know when to find it. Muzi and Zhang found a shady place and sat down to rest. Muzi curled her legs, put the messenger bag on her lap, flipped it lightly, revealing the little crow's bald head. It doesn't bother you to carry it with you every day. Zhang felt that the little crow was ugly and interesting, so he poked it with his hand. The crow seemed to have just woken up, looking a little dazed and unresponsive. Muzi said, there's no way, I have to feed every hour, and when I'm away from people, I just bark. Every hour, Zhang was surprised, it's too tiring, it's better to raise a cat to save worry. Muzi raised the corners of her mouth and chuckled, I'll only be tired for a month, and when it can fly, I don't care about it. The crow chick can leave the nest in a month. Thinking of this, Muzi will be more patient with the little bird in her arms. It doesn't matter if it sticks to her, anyway, after a month, it will grow up, and sooner or later it will fly away. Birds belong to the sky. Muzi didn't want to tie it up in a cage. Zhang heard the words but said, it's hard to raise him, why let him go, it's so interesting to keep him by his side. She poked the little crow's head a few more times, and said cheerfully, look at how funny it is, it's ugly and cute. Okay, it's broken. Muzi protected the crow, not allowing Zhang to poke again. Suddenly there was a shout from the garbage dump. The two followed the prestige. I found it! I found it! Chu Mingjun held up a small cardboard box with an excited expression. Zhang was a little surprised, so fast. It may have just been thrown out in the last few days, so it's easy to find in the upper layer of the garbage dump. Muzi waved at Chu Mingjun and praised him, good job, Xiaoming. Chu Mingjun strode over with a small cardboard box and was amazed, you are amazing, how do you know that Zhou Jiaying has ever shopped online? I just think that if it's really planned for a long time, she should buy some auxiliary props. After all, the doctors in the hospital are not so easy to fool. Chu Mingjun's expression suddenly became subtle, you mean, Zhou Jiaying bought that stuff from the internet? Muzi was non-committal, opened the crumpled cardboard box, saw the contents inside, a helpless smile curled up at the corner of her mouth. Either we are very lucky, or the little girl Zhou Jiaying is not vigilant enough. She handed the carton to Zhang take it and compare it with Zhang Huan's DNA. Zhang received it in his hand, only opened a slit, and then closed it immediately. With a look of disgust on her face, she was about to stuff the carton into the prepared sterile storage bag, but Chu Mingjun quickly snatched the carton from her hand. Hey, you brat, Zhang scolded. Chu Mingjun was purely curious, staring at the contents of the cardboard box, he couldn't stop talking, hey, she can eat such a big one? It's electric and washable, it's worth the money. Just use your fingers, zero cost, no risk. In order to create red and swollen wounds after sexual assault, she may deliberately buy a large size. Muzi didn't have so many evil thoughts, she was just analyzing the matter seriously, and the fingers are not long enough, which will affect the doctor's sampling results. Muzi frowned slightly, as if thinking of something. Xiaoming, can you say that sentence again? Chu Mingjun was confused, no cost, no risk. No, it's the previous sentence. Really worth the money. Muzi was silent for a moment, then suddenly tore off the courier slip on the carton, and asked Chu Mingjun, "Can you find out the buyer's account through the courier tracking number? Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again." Author, Hua Hua Liao. Chapter 128. Chu Mingjun has been despised by them all the way today, so he hurriedly patted his chest to reassure himself, "Of course. I'll ask someone to investigate this matter when I get back." After making the promise, I felt strange. Didn't Zhou Jiaying buy this? Do I need to check it out? Zhou Jiaying is out of money. Mu Ziyi glanced at the dilapidated residential building. She is living in poverty, and even if she wanted to buy it, she would not be willing to spend money on high-end goods. It is very likely that someone else bought this for her. Xiaoming couldn't believe it. Who would buy such a thing as a gift? And it was given to a 16 or 17-year-old female student. Mu Ziyi saw that he was in a daze, thinking that he was making trouble for the investigation, and comforted him, "It doesn't matter if you can't find it, as long as the DNA comparison result matches Zhang Huan, the case will be closed." How could Chu Mingjun allow himself to be underestimated by a little girl? Emphasize again, simple. "I will find it out for you in a while." Mu Ziyi smiled, turned her head and told Zhang Xi, "Remember to collect fingerprints, and see if there are other fingerprints besides Zhou Jiaying." She put the messenger bag containing the little crow on her back, then stretched her arms comfortably. "The task is complete, let's call it a day." "I'll drive you back." Zhang Xi walked forward with his arms around her shoulders. Chu Mingjun looked at the backs of the two walking away. He was a little dizzy, he was stunned for a moment, and hurried to catch up. "That, cousin, let's call it a day. Otherwise, what do you want?" Zhang Xi glanced at him strangely. "As long as Zhang Huan's secretions are detected on the simulation tool, together with Zhou Jiaying's own fingerprints, it is enough to show that this is a scene that she directed and acted on her own. Article 243 stipulates that those who commit the crime of false accusation and frame up shall be sentenced to fixed term imprisonment of not more than 3 years. Chu Mingjun scratched his ears. "I just thought it went too well, I didn't expect that we would find out so soon." "It's me and Muzi, not you. You're just digging through the garbage." Zhang Xi gave him a contemptuous look. "If you do the research yourself, you don't know what year of the monkey you will have to wait." Chu Mingjun, Forget it, he should not say anything. Zhang Xi drove her broken jeep that had been repaired countless times, first sent Xiaoming back to the law firm, and then sent Mu Ziyi home. The jeep was parked outside the big iron gate of Mu's house. Zhang Xi said, "I'll call you when the results from the laboratory come out." Mu Ziyi agreed, got up and got out of the car. Zhang Xi stopped her again. "Hey, how is your investigation going?" Mu Ziyi shook her head slightly annoyed. "Qiao Jingjia wanted to take my computer away before, and I thought there were some files in the computer that she cared about, but I checked carefully, and it was just some case information. Some cases have already been closed, there are cases pending, none of which are major or classified, and I really don't understand why she wants these documents." Zhang Xi reminded her, "Maybe you haven't found out the confidential part, but she mistakenly thought you did." Mu Ziyi thoughtfully, slowly nodded. "Well, your idea is good, I'll take a look when I get back." The two talked for a while at the door, and Zhang Xi drove away. Mu Ziyi walked into the big iron gate, and unexpectedly saw a person standing under the tree. It was Mu Zening. Mu Zening was smoking under the tree, staring at her gloomily for an unknown how long. His gaze made Mu Ziyi feel very uncomfortable. She continued to walk forward indifferently, not paying attention to it. But Mu Zening asked aloud, "Zhang Xi sent you back personally, how did you know Zhang Xi?" Mu Ziyi's steps froze. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 129. Zhang Ci is Su Zi's partner, but how could Mu Zi know Zhang Ci? Mu Zi was trying to find an excuse to fool her, but then she thought that she might contact Zhang Ci frequently in the future, and if she kept it secret every time, it would be inconvenient, so it would be better to communicate openly and above board. Don't you know? I used to be a bad girl and often entered the police station. Mu Zi frowned and smiled mockingly. In order to lead me to the right path, Officer Zhang took great care of me, and our relationship is very good. Mu Zening stared at her for a while, then said, "Really?" He took a puff of the cigarette and exhaled the smoke. The blue smoke blurred his facial features and made his expression obscure. Mu Zi felt irritable and was about to leave when she heard Mu Zening ask, "You seem to know a lot about Su Zi." Mu Zi turned her face to look to the other side, and replied coolly, "It's not too much, and it's not too little. Officer Zhang told me most of it." Mu Zening stared at her. "Zhang Ci's age is nearly 10 years behind you, but she has nothing to say to you." Mu Zi's expression remained unchanged. "Yes, once people hit it off, no matter how old they are, they can become confidants, but if they don't hit it off, even if they live under the same roof, they can't get close." There were thorns in her words on purpose. Mu Zening had a sullen face, his deep eyes gathered a layer of haze. Mu Zi didn't care. She thought that Mu Zening might be suspicious. They have known each other for 5 years and lived together for a year. They are very familiar with each other, and it is not surprising to find some clues. But so what? He had no proof anyway. Even if Mu Zening really recognizes her, she is not afraid. She can just act like a regular wife and scold him and Xiao Jingjia. At most, it is more troublesome to deal with the aftermath. Mu Zening was silent for a while, restrained his emotions, and said, "There will be a banquet at home in 2 days, you and Aunt Bai should come too." "No time, no interest, my mother probably doesn't want to go either." Mu Zi pulled the corners of her lips into a smile, "You guys can play by yourself." She waved her hand and walked past him without looking at him again. Mu Zening watched her leave, his gaze fell on her back. She wore a light blue dress today, showing her slender pink and white calves. The hem of the skirt fluctuated as she walked, making her steps very light. Mu Zening took another puff of the cigarette, and the smoke immediately blurred his vision. He felt a little abnormal. He threw the cigarette butt on the ground and crushed it, as if he wanted to crush the little bit of charming thoughts that were about to emerge. Mu Zi returned to Xiaoanglu and found that Bai Wei was not at home. There are several express boxes piled up in the living room, and the recipients are all written in her name. Mu Zi was at a loss at first, but after thinking about it carefully, she realized that these are the bird-raising equipment she bought online. Receiving the courier was a happy thing. Mu Zi quickly forgot about the unpleasantness of meeting Mu Zening, and took the scissors to open the courier box. She put the little crow on the sofa together with the bird. Feed, anti-spill food basin, automatic water feeder, bathtub, and this. Mu Zi took out all kinds of branches, and finally took out a few branches. This is the most powerful. The sycamore and longan branches are even in thickness, the wood is tough, and the surface is slightly rough. It is most suitable for grinding claws and mouths. Little crow, do you like it, like it? The little crow's black bean eyes were shining, staring at her silently. If he hadn't been frightened by its voice, Mu Zi really suspected that this bird was dumb. But this branch needs to be spliced before it can be used. What about the manual? I have to study it. Mu Zi concentrated on looking at the manual. At this time, there was a slight creaking sound in my ear. Mu Zi looked up and saw a small piece of metal bounce to the floor. What? Why does it look so familiar? Where did the metal piece come from? She thought for a while, and suddenly realized something. The blood all over her body was slowly cooling down. Muzi turned her head with difficulty, and saw the boa constrictor's round head slowly poking out from the terrarium. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 130. Sis is out. During this period of time, it was like an ornament. After Muzi got used to the existence of the terrarium, she almost forgot about it. It used the top of its head to open the upper opening of the terrarium, and the bolted metal plate was deformed under brute force, and finally broke from the glass box. Muzi's hands and feet were cold, and her whole body became stiff. Wasn't it good before? Why did it suddenly come out today? Seeing the little crow on the sofa, Muzi immediately understood, Sisi is hungry. It wants to eat the little crow. If you can't fill your stomach, maybe even eat with her. Muzi wanted to cry but had no more tears. Damn snake, damn Murong Cheng, damn unreliable terrarium manufacturer. Damn it. Fortunately, Sisi's speed was extremely slow. Muzi ran over trembling, and pressed back the glass panel with all his strength. You bastard, don't come out. But she didn't expect Sisi to be so strong. Even if she pressed hard, the glass plate could be pushed up. Suddenly, I remembered what Murong Cheng said. He said Sisi weighed more than 100 caddies. Muzi's face turned completely pale, and she didn't even weigh 100 caddies. Sisi was still struggling inside. Muzi was at a loss. She almost subconsciously thought of Murong Cheng. Although she really hated him and was afraid of him, it was undeniable that when she was with him, she was always at ease. She is a demon. By the demon's side, nothing can hurt her, except the demon itself. In a panic, Muzi took out her mobile phone and called Murong Cheng. Where are you? As soon as the call was connected, without waiting for Murong Cheng to speak, Muzi hurriedly said, come back soon. Sisi is coming out. Zizi, Murong Cheng was surprised when he received her call. I can't go back now. Muzi just wanted to cry when she heard that. Usually I don't want to see him, but he wants to hang around in front of her, but now is the time when I need him, but he won't come back. Don't be afraid, Sisi won't hurt anyone. If you're afraid, go and call the security guards for help. Murong Cheng seemed to be really in trouble, and someone was arguing faintly over there. Muzi was helpless and collapsed again. No way. It pushes the cleat open, I'm pressing it, and it will come out as soon as I let go. Murong Cheng didn't speak, and seemed to be hesitating. Muzi despaired, and shouted, you don't come back. What should I do then? If you don't come back, what should I do? She was just venting her emotions, but to Murong Cheng's ears, it was like a charming love story, full of uninterrupted love. I'll go back right away like a stunned teenager, Murong Cheng agreed without hesitation. Wang Zhan next to him was frightened. Master. Are you not? All the old foxes from Lizhu are here, and the uncles of the Huo family are also here, you can't just leave. However, Murong Cheng really left. His heart was on fire. His Zizi took the initiative to call him. His Zizi said she needed him. Murong Cheng Guan could imagine her helpless and panicky appearance just by hearing her delicate voice. She must be pitiful and cute, so delicate and wrong that people would want to rub her into his arms and love her when they saw her. He really wanted to be in front of her right away. 30 minutes later, Murong Cheng appeared at the door of Xiaoanglu. He walked into the living room, and saw Muzi in a funny posture, half lying on the ground and half riding on the glass terrarium. His eyes widened slightly in astonishment, and then he couldn't help laughing. Embarrassed, Muzi blushed and explained, it's too strong, I can only press it like this. Murong Cheng leaned against the wall and laughed, a narrow and hateful smile. Muzi became angry from embarrassment, and said angrily, come here and help me. You bastard.